I don't find my wife attractive anymore. This isn't a line from a sad movie. It's the honest confession of Edward, 75 years old, after nearly half a century of marriage. And he's not alone. More and more older men quietly admit the same thing. They no longer feel connected, no longer feel close. Sometimes they even feel irritated. Does it mean love is gone? Not necessarily. But clearly, marriage, like people, changes with time. Welcome to Life in Words, where we listen, understand, and help heal relationships that have traveled a long road. In today's video, we go straight into a tender but rarely spoken truth. Why do many husbands feel more distant from their wives as they grow older? Where are you watching from today? Leave a comment below with your city or country. We read every single one. And if this topic speaks to your heart, please subscribe to our channel. Together we explore the emotional journeys that unfold in life after 60. Sometimes just one moment of understanding can save an entire marriage. Reason 1. When physical attraction is no longer the bridge. One of the first changes that causes an older husband to drift away from his wife is the fading of physical attraction. Not only toward her, but also within himself. Daniel, 72, shared this quietly. I still love my wife, but I don't feel that closeness anymore. And I don't know how to tell her. Many men feel the same way. They don't hate their wives. They're simply struggling with their aging bodies and the silent grief of no longer feeling like the man they used to be. Biologically and socially, many men associate love with physical connection. As they age, their energy, desire, and confidence decline. They no longer feel strong. They no longer crave closeness the way they once did. And that scares them. Worse, most were never taught how to talk about these changes. So they withdraw. They create distance to avoid facing the loss. They grow quiet. Not because the love is gone, but because the bond that once held them close is slowly fading and nothing has taken its place. But the fading of attraction isn't the end. It's a signal, a chance to build something deeper. Emotional intimacy, shared memories, mutual respect, the kind of love that isn't tied to appearances or youth. When the spark fades, the warmth of kindness can still remain. When touch is rare, a glance of tenderness becomes more powerful than ever. If you felt yourself or your partner slipping into this kind of distance, leave a comment below with the number 1. Just one number can begin a healing conversation. And if this resonates with you, stay with us. Because behind this loss, there are many more silent reasons waiting to be understood. Reason 2. Unresolved conflicts that make men shut down. When we talk about pain in a marriage, people often assume it's the wife who gets hurt more. But men hurt too. They just don't show it the same way. Michael, 70, lived through many years with the woman he loved. But small conflicts, little complaints, and long silences slowly made him retreat. He stopped responding. He stopped trying to explain. He kept it all inside. And the distance grew. Why does this happen? Because many men grow up in environments where expressing emotion is not taught. When they're hurt, they don't know how to say it. When they feel criticized, they don't know how to ask for understanding. When they're disappointed, they protect themselves through silence. At first, they might try to talk. But when they feel unheard or misunderstood, they shut down. Not because they don't care anymore, but because they feel dismissed. A man who feels deeply wounded will often withdraw. And that emotional retreat is the real sign that something has been lost. From a psychological view, this is emotional disconnection built in silence. It's not loud. It doesn't come with tears. But it's real. A wife might think her husband is fine because he never complains. But silence, in this case, can be the most dangerous response. If she doesn't notice and continues thinking the silence is normal, the emotional gap will only grow wider. Have you ever seen a man slowly go quiet in his own home, or felt the pain of not being heard? Leave a comment with the number 2. Sometimes, even a quiet acknowledgement can start to mend something broken. And if you see yourself in these words, you're not alone. The first step to healing isn't an apology. It's realizing that something inside you is slowly pulling away. Next, we'll move into a feeling that's even harder to name. When the person you live with every day no longer feels emotionally close. Reason 3. Familiarity slowly turns into emotional loneliness. They still live under the same roof. Still share dinner. Still ask, "How was your day?" But deep down, they're no longer truly connected. There's no more sharing. No more closeness. Just silence, stretching longer with each passing year. This is what many couples face after decades of being together. And for men, this disconnect creeps in so quietly. They often don't even realize it. Thomas, 76, once said, "We're still together, but I don't feel the need to talk anymore. Every day feels just like the one before." That is the clearest sign of emotional loneliness. In the early days, everything felt new. A look, a word, an afternoon walk hand in hand. But as time passed, those little moments disappeared. They were buried under responsibilities, children, work. And suddenly, no one even noticed they were gone. Familiarity, once comforting, now becomes a quiet cage. Conversations turn shallow. Hugs fade away. And instead of living with each other, they begin to live beside each other. The real danger is, most men don't know how to say they feel lonely. They won't say, "I feel empty." They'll just spend more time alone. Stay longer in their room. Avoid eye contact. Keep their feelings buried. And when the distance becomes too wide, they start to confuse that emptiness with not loving their wife anymore. They think, maybe the love is gone, when in truth, they're just no longer connected. A relationship can survive the years if both people work to stay emotionally close. But if silence takes over, even love can fade quietly into the background. Have you ever felt like you live with someone but don't truly feel close anymore? Whether it's a spouse, a friend, or a parent, leave a comment with the number 3. That simple act might help someone else feel seen. And remember, loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. It often means not feeling understood by the one sitting right beside you. But emotional connection can be rebuilt. With a conversation, a gentle touch, a kind glance. Next, we'll move into a deeper emotional space, where midlife questions begin to surface, and husbands start to doubt not only their marriage, but themselves. Reason 4. The midlife crisis. When a husband starts to question himself and his marriage. At a certain age, a man suddenly stops in his tracks. Not because his body is slowing down, not because his love has faded, but because of a quiet storm inside his mind. A wave of questions. Have I lived enough? Am I living the life I want? How much time do I have left? Richard, 68, shared this after retiring. "I thought all I needed was to work hard, take care of my family. But one morning, I woke up feeling empty. I looked at my wife and wondered, is this really the life I chose?" This is the classic midlife crisis. A psychological phase that many older men go through silently. They begin to reflect on their life, on missed dreams, on things they never said yes to. And slowly, they start feeling lost. This doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly. A little regret, a little sadness, then confusion. And the person closest to them, their wife, becomes the outlet for all that inner conflict. Criticism, emotional distance, a sudden urge to change everything. It's not about the wife. It's about the husband confronting a part of himself he never knew how to face. At this age, a man's heart is full of conflict. He longs for stability, but fears being stuck. He wants to feel alive again, but doesn't know how. And if there's no open communication, no shared understanding, his wife slowly becomes the symbol of the life he's trying to escape. Have you ever seen someone close go through this kind of crisis? Or maybe you've felt that pull yourself. Leave a comment with the number 4. Your story might help someone else feel a little less alone. And remember, a crisis is not the end. It's a sign that something inside is asking for change. Not a new partner, not a new house, but a new way to live together. Next, we'll talk about something even more subtle. What happens when two people grow in different directions and no longer share the same values or lifestyle? Reason 5. When lifestyles and values no longer aligns. They live in the same home. They've walked through many ups and downs together. But one day, they realize they no longer live in the same world. James, 73, once confessed, "I still love my wife. But whenever we talk, I feel like we're speaking different languages. The things I care about, she doesn't notice. And what she enjoys, I can't seem to connect with anymore. We're still married. But that deep bond, it just isn't there now." This is when many older husbands begin to feel a quiet sense of separation from their wives. No dramatic fight. No major event. Just two people slowly heading in different directions in how they live, think, and find meaning. Aging isn't just about wrinkles. It's about wanting to live more honestly. Many men reach a point where they ask themselves, what do I still want to experience? What have I been putting off? They want to learn something new, to travel, to slow down, or maybe speed up again, to live differently. But if the wife stays in familiar routines, still grounded in old habits, the distance begins. It starts with small things. He enjoys morning walks. She prefers quiet reading. He wants to explore new places. She wants to stay near the grandchildren. Little by little, they lose shared ground. Conversations feel awkward. Time together becomes shorter. And inside the husband, a new thought appears. We just don't have anything to talk about anymore. From a psychological view, this is called growing apart through personal evolution. Both people are changing, but not in the same direction. The man begins to feel lonely, even when sitting beside the woman who once meant everything to him. He doesn't know why. He just knows he doesn't feel like himself around her anymore. And when you no longer feel like yourself, how can you love naturally? Are you in a relationship where it feels like you're growing in different directions? Or have you tried reconnecting, but don't know where to begin? Leave a comment with the number 5. Your feeling might be the bridge. Someone else needs to find their way back. But there is still hope. Differences don't end love. They remind us that listening matters more than ever. Not to change each other, but to understand and honor the journey we're both on. Up next, we'll explore a quiet struggle that affects many older men, the stress of finances, and the emotional weight of retirement. Reason 6. When financial stress and retirement worries. Quietly break the bond. No more work to go to. No more job title. No more paycheck arriving like clockwork. Many men look forward to retirement, thinking it will bring peace. But instead, they're met with a quiet emptiness. A question they didn't expect. Who am I now? Henry, 71, was the primary provider for over 40 years. But after retirement, he started to feel invisible. I wonder if I'm still useful. If I can't earn money anymore, will she still respect me? Financial stress isn't just about numbers. It's about the feeling of losing control. When income drops, when medical costs rise, When inflation creeps in, men begin to feel anxious. Not because of the money itself, but because they no longer feel like protectors. But they don't talk about it. They don't want to worry their wives. So they stay silent. And that silence becomes distance. A wife may ask, "How should we plan the budget this month?" But to the husband, it can sound like criticism. He feels judged, like he's not enough. So he pulls back. He stops engaging. He isolates. Psychologists call this a post-career identity crisis. When a man loses his role, he starts to lose his sense of self. And if there's no emotional support, no safe space to talk, that confusion can slowly chip away at love. The painful truth is, the man who once carried the weight of the family is now the one who needs to be held. But he doesn't know how to ask for it. Have you seen someone close grow distant after retirement? Or felt how money tension affects the love in your relationship? Leave a comment with the number 6. You may be helping someone else feel understood for the very first time. And know this, what men need most in this chapter of life isn't a bigger savings account. It's the feeling that they still matter. A kind word. A warm touch. A simple question. How are you really doing? Those small gestures can bring a man back from silence, back to the love he thought he had lost. Coming next, we'll step into one of the most personal places of all, when intimacy fades and a husband no longer feels desired by the woman he loves. Reason 7. When physical intimacy fades and a husband no longer feels desired. There's a kind of sadness that many older men carry in silence. Not because they don't feel it, but because they don't know how to say it out loud. It's the feeling of no longer being desired, of no longer being seen as a man in the eyes of the woman they love. George, 74, shared quietly, "I don't blame my wife. We're both getting older. But it's been so long since she touched me. No hug. No kiss. Not even a gentle hand on my arm. I don't need much. Just something to show that I still matter to her." Aging brings many changes. To the body, to hormone levels, to physical strength. Testosterone drops. Medications dull desire. Chronic illness makes the body ache. But the deepest pain doesn't come from the loss of intimacy itself. It comes from feeling invisible, unwanted. He lies beside his wife each night, but there's no warmth, no closeness, no sign that he is still loved in the way he once was. So he stops reaching out, stops making eye contact. He distracts himself. He avoids bedtime. This is called emotional self-protection. When someone fears rejection, they retreat first. When someone feels ashamed of their aging body, they hide. Many wives believe their husbands simply aren't interested in intimacy anymore. But often, the opposite is true. He still wants to be close. He just doesn't want to be a burden. He doesn't want to be told no. So he stops asking. And slowly, a silent distance takes root. Not because the love is gone, but because fear has taken its place. Just one small touch, a whisper, "You're still the man I love," a moment of closeness in the quiet. That's all it takes to help him feel seen again, worthy again, loved again. Have you ever seen this happen to someone you care about? Or have you ever felt unnoticed in your own relationship? Leave a comment with the number 7. Your voice might help someone else feel less alone. And always remember, love doesn't have to shout. It just needs to be close. It needs to be real. Coming up now, let's step back and look at everything with a healing heart. To rediscover hope, even after so many years together. Conclusion. When a husband says he no longer likes his wife, it doesn't always mean the love is gone. More often than not, that love is still there. It's just buried under the weight of time. stress, old wounds, and long stretches of silence. Marriage psychologists say, emotional distance in later life is not the end. It's a signal, a call to rebuild. This chapter of marriage requires more patience, more understanding, and a deeper kind of connection from both partners. The husband may be struggling with fears of being left behind, with losing control over his life. The wife may be trying her best, without knowing how to reach the heart that quietly shut itself away. But here's the good news. Happiness doesn't live in the past or some faraway future. It lives in today, in the choices we make each morning to care, to listen, to hold hands one more time. Even as the years grow short, you can begin again. With a word, a glance, a single gentle gesture. If this video touched something inside you, leave a comment below. How have your feelings changed over time in your marriage? What's been the hardest part for you? Your story might help someone else. Find the courage to speak. And if you found this message meaningful, please hit like so it can reach more people who need to hear it. Share it with someone you love, someone who might still be holding on. And don't forget to subscribe to Life in Words. Here we explore the deep emotions, the timeless lessons, and the quiet strength that carry us through the later chapters of life. We can't turn back time, but we can always begin again. With a hug, with a word, with love. Take care of each other, because love is always worth the effort. See you in the next video.